Okay, so let's talk about some techniques you can use to develop your three-finger picking style. So the first thing we want to get is this thumb, this walking bass line thing happening. I'm going to be using the chord A major for this, but you could also use, C major as well. I mean, you could use any chord you want. Any open position chord will work, but we're going to be using A major. So I've got my 2, 2, 2 on this fret here, right? And then my thumb is going to be going the A string for beat 1, D string for beat 2, the E string for beat 3, and then back to the D string for beat 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now you notice I'm digging in pretty hard, and that's something you want. You want your thumb to be strong. Your thumb, you don't want to be like too delicate because it'll be hard to balance your fingers. So you want to pretty solid thumb on there, resting on the strings. Okay, now we have these two fingers, right? And we have two types of notes. We have notes together with our thumb, and we have notes between our thumb, right? And there's just a bazillion different ways you could try to start to build this up. Just pick a system. I usually call these sorts of things grids, which is like I'll pick 4 beats and I'll start to change them systematically. Like maybe I want to add one note at a time. I'll call this like a stacking grid, right? So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to add a beat, one beat together with my pointer finger. So like on beat 1, I'm going to go 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, now I'm going to add 2. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 1, 2. Add 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now how about 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Okay, now let's do the exact same thing with my middle finger. How about this time, instead of adding beats, I'm going to subtract them. So I'm going to start with 4 all together. 1, I'm using my middle finger here, so I'll play this string. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to take a beat away. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to take 2 beats away. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Take 3 beats away. Okay, you can do combinations of these two fingers, like beat 1, beat 2, beat 1, beat 2. You could flip it, so you... So come up with as many combinations as you can. Then we've got in-between notes. So my thumb is doing my pa, and I'm going to fit notes between. Ah. So right now I'm going between beat 1 and 2. I could go between beat 2 and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Beat 4, or beat 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2. Between beat 4 and beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do the same thing with your middle finger. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Again, we could do combinations. So like... 1, 2, 3. that's between beat 2 and 3 with this finger, and then beat 2 and 4 with 3 and 4 with this finger. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Now between 3 and 4. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Don't go so fast as me. I'm going fast just to show you how it goes. You can do all 4. Okay. Now, finally, what you want to do is you want to combine notes that are together with notes that are between. And again, there's just so many different ways you can do this. I would start with just like one together and then one separate. So together, together, thumb, middle. Together, thumb, middle. So it's on beat 2 and 3. 1. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Move it to beat 3 and 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Flip the fingers. Start with the middle finger together. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Move it. Move it. Then you could do it with 2 togethers, like together, together, separate. Hopefully by now you're kind of getting this systematic approach and how it works. You just pick a really simple idea, start to add on to it, start to kind of build it out and stack it. You don't want to go too far too fast. You always want to just do something really simple, like do what you just did but backwards, or do what you just did but shifted by one note. And the goal with this is to just kind of cover all of your blind spots. Some of these are going to sound cool. Some of them aren't going to sound as cool. Some are going to be really intuitive. Some are going to be kind of tricky. And you just want to go through all of them as systematically as possible until you get really complicated patterns. The more complicated your patterns get, the more musical they start to sound. And then eventually, you'll just have done so many patterns that you can start to kind of play those patterns randomly, and you'll be basically there. The only difference between that being random and being musical is you do things intentionally. But in order to do things intentionally, you have to have a lot of vocabulary, and this sort of exercise builds your vocabulary kind of like bit by bit. You know, you start with the smallest thing you can with a, and then you just add one note, you know, and then from there you just keep building until you start to get more complicated sounding patterns. Okay? Good luck.